resolutions for the NUGSS election. We'll be getting underway here in just a moment. I just wanted to start off by welcoming everyone and kind of giving people a reminder of the format. So how this is working is it's maximum 2 minutes per speech for each candidate. When it's a position that's contested, both candidates will give their speeches. Then after that, each candidate will have the opportunity to ask the other candidate a question, followed up by a maximum of 3 questions from the floor to that candidate. If everyone could please keep everything respectful today, I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, so we'll get started here with the president portfolio, and the first speech is Alder Chuck.
Hi everyone, my name is Alden Chow and I'm excited to be running for re-election as your NUGSS president. Before I let you know a bit about myself and why I'm running, I would like to first acknowledge the traditional territory of the Tsleil-Waututh. I have a certificate in business administration and I'm studying poli-sci business and environmental studies. I've been serving as your NUGSS president for the past school year, where I oversee the operations and activities of NUGSS. I have also served as the VP Finance of NUGSS the year before. The purpose of a student society is to provide services, events, and advocacy. If re-elected, I would work to improve the quality of the pens and water bottles that NUGSS gives out. A number of students have come forward to me about concerns on the way NUGSS has been treating them. As the NUGSS president, I will ensure that NUGSS board members receive sensitivity training so that NUGSS is communicated in a respectful manner. NUGSS needs to be doing more than hosting parties. Our student society needs to be speaking out more on student issues such as racism, transit service, and increased funding. As elected representatives of NUGSS, we all need to be advocating for students no matter what position we fill. But students must also speak out and be involved too. As a NUGSS president, I cannot do this alone. 24 years ago, UNBC was founded because people came together for the university in the north. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Great, thanks Alden. I'd now like to invite Angela Keller up for her speech.
President. The first priority of being president in the coming year would be to improve communication between the NUGSS board and the NUGSS students, but also between the NUGSS students and the university administration. I believe that as a board we can improve on improving our transparency, because a lot of people don't know what NUGSS actually does for them. And that's a problem because it's your student society, so you need to know what your student society is doing for you. I would also like to facilitate a culture of solidarity between the students on campus, because we're all in this together, we're all students and we need the same thing. As president, I believe the job of president is we need to build on the strengths of the previous board, and in order to move forward, we need to strengthen our weaknesses as well. That's why I will take an open-minded approach. We're allowing for what the board and the students want. We need to see what the students' vision is for their school and their society, and go from there. And it is up to the board to choose the direction of what the board wants to do, and it's up to our consultation with the students. It's not up to the president to choose that direction. I'm hoping for this position. I've been on NUGSS for the past year at academic rep, and I've made a lot of contacts through my work on committees. So I look forward to building further on these relationships and making new contacts. I know what the issues are and how these can be fixed with my experience on NUGSS this year. I have the capacity to take on this role. I have a good life balance to work balance ratio, and it is this that
you, Angela. I'd like to invite you guys both back up to ask each other questions. So first, I'll have Angela ask Alden a question, and then Alden will ask Angela a question.
How will you prioritize your time between your own projects and platform while preparing to do these in your portfolio?
Thank you for your question, Angela. So as a NUGSS president oversees the operations and activities on NUGSS. So part of that involves delegating things to people and ensuring that things get done. So that's one way I can ensure that that's an option. Oh yeah, that's good. So what type of experience besides NUGSS do you have? For community involvement or anything like that?
I used to be the president of the Roller Derby Club here, so I have experience with running a club and organizing volunteers. I also have extensive volunteer experience with other organizations on and off campus, actually. I've worked with PG Perg and a number of other organizations.
Great, thanks guys. You need to stay up here. So we'll now proceed with questions from the floor. So we'll accept up to 3 questions, and if you don't mind, can you try to keep them as brief in the interest of time as possible. So I'll start with Kirk over there.
So I'd like to know, in case people haven't heard, the campus food service is changing drastically. And NUGSS' position on this has been neutral, which was disappointing for me because I think as a student representative body, you should be advocating for the students. I'd like to know from each of you how, first of all, from a historical point of view, because you are the acting president, or the president right now, why that stance was taken, and what stances are taken in the future with other big issues like food services.
Thank you for your question, Kirk. So last year, there were student representatives on our RFP committee, so the request for proposals, and they brought forward concerns regarding the food services plans, including the elimination of all kitchens and mandatory meal plans for everyone. That was the original plan according to Aaron Laval. However, NUGSS representative on the board, they spoke up against that plan, and it was reduced so that there would be only mandatory first-year meal plans and the closure of the cafeteria. However, I will continue to work and speak up for students to ensure that students' voices are heard, because I disagree with shutting off the cafeteria and having it only open to paying customers, because here at UBC, education is supposed to be affordable for everyone, and it's a right, and I feel that I will continue to speak up for students and ensure that our voices are heard.
Questions for both of you?
Yeah, I was just
Would you like to come up, Kurt?
Sure.
So the question was regarding the neutral stance that NUGSS has taken with the food services plan. And I just wanted to know in the future how you will be representing the voices of the students, because I didn't see that happening with this particular issue.
I think in this situation, we as a board did not get the information soon enough, and if we had known earlier what changes were being made, we would have put that information out to the students so they could have had a voice in what was happening. The way it was delivered, we got the information very late, and we weren't able to respond in time.
Thank you. The next question, please.
Okay, so my question has to do with, obviously, as president of NUGSS, it's not just the undergraduates that get affected. They are obviously the primary constituents that are affected by leadership and decisions made in NUGSS. But as student representatives of the largest student body at UNBC between undergrads and grads, leadership in NUGSS affects the whole community, culture. And so my question to you both is, what is the UNBC motto? And I can give you, if you don't know it, straight off the bat.
Motto is Enchachuna, and this is supposed to be open for everybody, and people are supposed to be welcome here.
Well, the motto of the university is Enchahana is a carrier term, and it means respect for all life. And it comes from the fact that the First Nations people were very involved in the formation of this university. And so that's something that really should be continued to be carried out as a tradition at this university, that First Nations people, Aboriginal people are respected, feel welcome and comfortable, not just at the university, but through NUGSS as well. So thank you.
And actually, we already have the third question. It's already been brought up. So, Shalane, would you like to come up? Thanks very much.
Hello, my name is Shalane Paul. My question is that, and I speak from a collective voice, that NUGSS hasn't been necessarily inclusive or even respectful towards First Nations people here on campus. And I think it's clearly a problem that there is no First Nations rep running. So my question is to both of you, if you are elected, what do you plan on doing to be more inclusive for First Nations people so that they feel welcomed and comfortable in order to feel part of the community that, you know, we're obviously here on First Nations land?
As president of NUGSS, it will be one of my jobs to partner with a lot of the other organizations here on campus, and the First Nations Center being one of them, especially because we do not have an Aboriginal rep running. It will be our priority to partner in activities and different ways of supporting each other, and that is definitely on the list of things to do.
Thank you for your question. So I do agree that NUGSS hasn't been communicating respectfully to various student groups like student clubs or Aboriginal students. And if elected as president, I will ensure that all NUGSS board members receive sensitivity training so that we can avoid these issues that we've faced this past year as well. I've also been involved with First Nation events too. I've attended them as the NUGSS president, and I've encouraged students who are First Nation to be involved. And I want to ensure that, and this is to ensure that we all feel welcome.
Thank you guys for your questions. Thank you, candidates. So next we'll be having the candidates for VP External. So we'll Bill Klein and Nick Clarkson. So we'll go first, then followed by David, and then we will move on from there. Thank you, Joe.
So I know that a number of you are familiar with me, as I've been a prominent member of, or a fairly prominent member of the UNBC community. As a representative for yourselves, I'm hoping to create a broader sense of, or a broader spectrum of communication, so that NUGSS is hearing more. A little bit closer to the mic. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm hoping to create a better sense of communication between NUGSS, specifically the VP of External Affairs, and the UNBC community as a whole. I'm concerned that this mic doesn't really like to be up close, does it? Create a regular forum for communication between NUGSS and the UNBC undergraduate community, and I suppose, as was mentioned earlier, the rest of the UNBC community as well. Through my time at UNBC, I have noticed there's been a fair amount to communicate or involvement from the community of Prince George and UNBC as a whole, but I'm hoping to improve upon that and make the UNBC and the Prince George community a much more cohesive group so that new students, returning students are feeling much more welcome and encouraged to partake in the UNBC and Prince George community. Now, I've been a member of Prince George for basically my whole life, for a resident of Prince George pretty much my whole life. I've grown up around UNBC, I've seen the number of changes that have been happening and will continue to happen. I'm looking forward to working with all of you, to all the other candidates, as well as the students, to creating a better university for all of you. It's a wonderful experience to be part of this community, and I'm looking forward to this whole experience. Thank you very much.
I'd like to introduce the other candidate, David Clarkson.
So I'm a bit new here. I don't have the benefit of having been here for a long time in Prince George or BC. My name is David. Thank you for the introduction. This is good. Yeah. Perfect. I'm here pursuing a degree in health sciences with a major in community population health and a minor in economics. And previous to coming to BC, I was at Capital University where I studied applied ethics. I also had the benefit of sitting on the board of directors at student studying there for 3 years. In that capacity, I served in many roles as the president for 1 term, as well as university relations officer, and as the chair of the Human Resources Committee. With this, I had the benefit of a larger experience in government relations, contract negotiations, specifically including employment contracts, the Metro Vancouver Pass program, and our health and dental agreement. Enough about me though. The reason I'm running is because I think we have a bit of a choice to make with our student society. And the choice is, what do we get from our student society? In other terms, what is the value that we get that is unique from our student society? We get a lot of things from it. We get a pub, we get our health plan, we get club funding, we get lots of events. But none of those things, I would argue, are a good enough or compelling reason to have a student society, because we could get those things through other means. The case, I believe, for student unions is to advocate for students, and if elected, I'll pursue a position of government relations. Back to this very quickly. It's 120 pages, and it's all about bylaws and policies. And it was mentioned earlier, there's no position on many student issues such as food services, student financial aid, or government relations. And this is a key problem that I would like to address. There are 3 things I simply like to pursue. 1 is establishing a committee on government relations and university relations. 2 is to establish policies and the government relations strategy. And 3 is to work with other student associations, including graduate students, CNC, and I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your speeches. If you'd like to come back up, and we'll start off with having David ask Bill a question.
Do you guys hear me okay? Very large voice. No? Okay. So one of the things I'd like to see done if UNBC if I'm elected is the establishment of a committee on government and university relations. And if I were to be elected, unfortunately you can't be elected, you can only one, would you be interested in serving on that committee? And conversely, if I'm not elected, what opportunities would you look to create for me to stay involved in the student society?
That's technically 2 questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll go with the first one because that's the first one. At this point, I do not have the experience with a governing body. That being said, I'm looking towards making communication as a whole a better and easier experience for all the student body and individuals. And it would be fantastic for you to help assist me in any way possible to, make it a better experience. Creating a community or a committee. Creating a committee now that you have put it forward, is an excellent idea, and I look forward to, if I'm elected, I look forward to trying to implement these ideas as well. I suppose it's now my turn for a question. Unfortunately, at this point, I have none. I'm sorry. Do you have any other questions for me?
Great, guys. Thank you very much. At this point, I'd like to open the floor for 3 questions from the floor. If anyone would like to come up, if you could please line up over here, and then we could ask questions.
Hello. As a VP External, you are communicating external outside, which I think is very important to have that kind of advocacy for, with government. But I think that there's a lot of also local things that are happening here as well that need to be addressed. And so my question is, how do you plan on representing the student voices for things such as like the Women's Center or transit? I believe that NTEC hasn't had a meeting in a while, and the cafeteria. You know, it's clear that the students are not in support, from what I've heard, and I'm just wondering how you plan to advocate and, really listen to what the students are saying.
So there's a few questions in there. With this position, there's sort of 2 sides to it. One is the role as the Vice President External, another is as a Director of Society. I think that's where a lot of the ability to ensure that the student study is best representing students across the community can be had. In this capacity, I would be able to work with the President, the Vice President of Student Affairs, the Director of Events, and support those positions in the ways I can. And take the Road Transportation Improvement Commission. And it hasn't been a while. There's been quite a turnover in the external portfolio. I think that is something that's important to do have local things. I think of us, so I would like to see transit improve. We got the 3rd question. Where's the 3rd component of your question? It was food services. Right, so food services is a very key issue that's come up. There's suddenly, it seems, and there's a lot of ways this can be dealt with. One, I think it's very important to have clear policies on, as a student study, what we expect from the university in terms of consultation with us. Another idea that I've had with this is that I'll try to be quick here. The government actually regulates how much tuition can be increased by each year, and that's about it. That's where they stop regulating university decisions. I think there should actually be a broader regulation of other things that affect students, such as housing and food services, because their food prices are changing. What's to say that in the future the price of residence will change? Or, in the case of my previous university, they unilaterally decided to end certain programs with students who were still halfway through their degrees. So I think we need to work at all levels, both the university, province, and other stakeholders.
So I actually have some experience within the community as a peer support network member, which is operated from the First Nation Center. Primarily, I'm focusing more on communication because that is a significant issue in that we are not getting, voices of the students are not being publicly recognized that they're being heard. And communication is basically how you start doing all of these processes, all of the points that you've made, and creating that dialogue is what starts the process. And several of them will not be done in our term. That's just what it is. But by creating the communication and the networks to communicate that to our successors, that is how you create a working system. And I'm communicating. Yep.
One of the responsibilities in the external portfolio is regional campuses, and neither of you have mentioned anything about regional campuses, so I'm wondering how you plan to connect regional campuses and maybe specific initiatives on specific regional campuses that you might do.
Again, to the communication, I'm looking to try to find a better, possibly even online forum, where we can either video conference in, or just create a dialogue, such as Blackboard, where you can write notes and have people comment, and have that method so that people can get their ideas across wherever they are. And regional campuses become an issue due to just the physical location that they're not here, and it is more difficult to understand the needs of those campuses. So understanding the needs that's communication. I'm seeing that for understanding, in my own sense, that communication is what needs to be improved to understand what's going on and how better to improve this all.
That's a very important question. Many of BC's post-secondary institutions have regional campuses, and during my time at Capilano, we had the same problem. And the problem comes down to this, is that I don't believe in two classes of members of the student association. You have one kind of student member, that person should have the equal freedom to participate regardless of where they study. Because the simple fact is they pay fees, and we count them as our members. One of the initiatives that we actually undertook is raising these very elections is when a student in Fort St. John comes to vote. There's no clear opportunity for that to happen. So some of these reforms may take very invisible nature, such as switching to online voting in these elections. Now this is a small step, but a very key part of this needs to be NUGSS needs to be accountable equally to every student in order for us to say that we equally represent every student. One of the things I'd really like to do, I like to travel, so I'd actually physically go to every one of the university campuses during my work. Funds provided available to just consideration, of course.
Thank you very much. And now for a final question.
Hold the mic up. This question can probably be pertinent to several positions on NUGSS, but I feel the need to ask you guys. I felt there's been a disconnect between residents and the university for most of my time that I've been here. As external affairs, what would you do to strengthen the connection between the residents and the university, particularly with NUGSS?
Well, look, another communication question. To do this, I would also try to implement something along the lines of events focused more towards residences and drawing people from the community, the residence community, to the university itself and having fun, learning, studying, hanging out, and just getting the experience where they are becoming a part of it and creating that whole relationship, essentially. To begin with, you could just start with a sign-up sheet saying, hi, this is what I'd like to do, and go from there, I suppose.
That's a tricky question. The external portfolio, I guess, is not the, it's not the point person, I guess, necessarily on activities, for instance, or events. That said, that doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity there to add. There's a couple of things I can think of off the top of my head. Number one is there's a municipal election happening in November. I believe it's the third Monday of November. I'd actually see them have an advanced polling location in residence, because this problem that we have as young people is we don't vote as much as we should, and when we don't vote, we're not listened to, and our interests aren't put in the forefront. So I think the scenario where we can engage people and also achieve goals, for instance, increasing our access to good transportation. Another thing that we did was, to answer your question the best way that you like, but one of the things we did to engage everybody on government relations was we made Valentine's Day cards about 2 years ago, and students built a bunch of MLAs, and they were very, very nicely worded. Just easy ways for people to take 30 seconds on the way down the hall to get involved. I think those are the kind of opportunities we need to look for, because you can understand people here are obviously willing to take an hour to come and be involved in their student society. Some people don't have that much time, some people have much more time. We have to engage people in the student association at a level that they're able to commit to, and that supports them.
Great. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Okay, next we have our candidates for VP Finance. So first I'd like to ask Carlin Haynes up, then followed by Daniel Besserman.
Thanks, Joe. Hi, everyone. My name is Carlin Haynes. Thanks for coming out today. I'm excited to be running for Vice President. First of all, I'm going to tell you a little about myself. I'm a fourth-year accounting and finance student. I'm from here, Prince George. For the past year and a half, I've volunteered for the Monetary Affairs Commission. For those of you who don't know, MAC oversees club funding and student venture grants. Working at MAC, I've met many great students and I've learned a lot from them. I've also become familiar with NUGSS bylaws, policies, and procedures. I've also become familiar with club policies as well. I believe this experience and my education will prove to be very valuable for this position. If I'm elected, my goals are to work hard, be a reliable representative, to negotiate more student discounts, balance the NUGSS budget, promote regular financial updates for members, vote Carlin Haynes for Vice President of Finance March 3rd and 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlin. And now I'd like to ask Danielle to come up.
Hi everyone, my name is Danielle Desrink, and I'm a third-year political science student here with a minor in commerce and also a minor in international studies. I'm running for Vice President of Finance. You should vote for me not only because I'm extremely organized, but I'm also very hardworking. So what will I do if I'm voted Vice President of Finance, you ask? Well, I'll focus on you, the undergraduate students of UNBC. NUGSS is an organization that's here for you, and I plan to negotiate more funding for the clubs you adore and negotiate more events so that you can make the best of your time at university. We all want the best university experience possible, with stress-busting events, great student discounts, and of course, we want to make amazing memories. I'm running to make your undergraduate experience a memorable one, and make the funding at NUGSS go further, and budget out a year to remember. I'm here to listen to what you, the undergraduate students of UNBC, want, and to make your voice feel heard. Here, you're not just a number hidden in the masses. I want to hear your opinions, because all the opinions of students matter. You matter. We're all in this together, and if you vote for me, I will ensure that funding for clubs is fairly allocated and that we make you proud that the Northern Undergraduate Student Society is here to represent and serve you, to make your UNBC experience the best experience possible. possible. Thank you and have a great day.
So now I'd like to invite Carlin back up so that Danielle can ask him a question.
Last year at NUGSS, there was no vice president for finance, so I'm just wondering how you'd be able to backtrack and organize everything.
Backtrack and organize everything? I believe our budget is up to date currently. I will work closely to review past minutes to help ensure a balanced budget. Sure what else? I don't know.
Okay, thank you. Now I'd like to open up the floor for maximum 3 questions. Would anyone like to ask the candidates a question? We have one.
So UBC is facing budget cuts coming up, and NUGS will probably be affected as well. So if you were asked, you have to take off 4% off of your budget, what would you carve off? What would you carve away? What would you do with it? How would you deal with that?
Sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question. Carve 4% off the budget? Maybe could carve 4% off as student, the club events. They're allocated so many dollars per semester. I don't like to see that happen because I like the students to have their events. I like them to go see their conferences. It would be unfortunate if we had to cut the budget for the clubs. Does that answer your question?
I think definitely if we did carve 4% off our budget, I would definitely focus on events that are non-educational and events that aren't for fundraising, because the most important events are the ones that give back to the community. So I think we would have to get together with all members of NUGSS and find out which events we would have to cut. So specifically, yeah, it would basically come down to everyone coming together and coming together on a group decision, because all the opinions of NUGSS members matter.
Thank you. Is there any more questions?
Hi, I think the question for you. You asked me that question. I just want to know what do you do, how do you backtrack and plan for the future?
I think basically I have a lot of free time on my hands, so I'd be able to spend a lot of time with the NUGSS members and focusing on a strict budget, that where we'd know where every dollar was being allocated and put. So just basically being really organized and being really dedicated to the position, that I'd be able to focus on the future.
Any more questions? We got one more. Not seeing anyone jump up, we'll just move along. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, next we have the candidates for VP Student Affairs. First, I'd like to have Emerald Ducharme up, followed by Kelly White.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amaryllis Ducharme, and I'm your current VP Student Affairs. I'm seeking re-election on March 2nd and 3rd. I have spent the duration of my term working towards making my position efficient. We've had a lot of turnover over the years. It's been very difficult to get things done, get things organized, and for us to move forward as a society. Now, it is time for change, so we can move forward as a society. I'm just repeating myself. I want to increase club funding, because as of this year, only $15,000 is offered for club funding over 1 year. So over basically 2 semesters and the summer. only $3,000 is allocated for student venture grants. So when somebody comes to MAC funding and asks me funding to go to a conference where they're presenting a paper, I can only give them $75. And that's, in my opinion, outrageous. I want to improve student representation. We can lobby to have a voting position on Senate and Board of Governors. Right now, our president sits on it, but they don't have a voting position. I want to ensure that we have comprehensible policies that match the way we operate as a society. I want to host club orientations, so you're not lost when you didn't have a good session from your previous year, or if you're starting a new club, so you guys can have time and supports and tools. So Monday, vote for me, because I will lobby to ensure that you are properly represented. Because I can be a team member and a leader at the same time. Because I will work as hard as I can to ensure clubs are provided for the tools they need to run a successful year. Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite up Kelly Ware.
Good afternoon. My name is Kelly Ware, and I am running for your next VP Student Affairs on NUGSS. I have been involved with clubs and student activities at UNBC for 4 years now. Clubs are near and dear to my heart. The position of Student Affairs is intrinsically tied to clubs and campus extracurricular activities. I wish to strengthen them. UNBC has an active and dynamic campus life, and it is something we should all be proud of. What I promise to bring to the position of Student Affairs is openness, approachability, and a willingness to listen. Different students have different needs. There is no one-size-fits-all solution for students. I recognize this, and I respect it. If elected, I will be there to listen and discuss with students what should be and could be done. I will take your thoughts, your ideas, and your concerns and work towards a solution. I want an open dialogue between NUGSS and clubs. If issues such as increased club funding are desired by students, I want to talk to them about it so we can take it to referendum quickly and efficiently. This dialogue can be simple enough. I propose to have drop-in meetings every week for several hours a day, where anyone who wants to come talk can do so. A forum like this will also be very helpful in fostering inter-club community. Another idea I wish to pursue, one that comes directly from clubs, is an editable events calendar on the NUGSS homepage. This would be a calendar that is updated by both clubs and the VP Student Affairs. It would allow events to go on the calendar immediately and minimize the occasions when multiple clubs book similar events for the same day. These are all your ideas. That is what representative governance is all about. So, if you want a person who is willing to listen and work with you, then vote for me on March 3rd and 4th. A vote for Kelly is a vote for clubs. Thank you.
Hi, I'd now like to invite Amaryllis up to answer any questions from Kelly.
Thank you for your speech. My question is simple. Once you get into a new position that has 25 more items when there's a missing VP Finance, well, it wouldn't be the case, but there's a lot of position turnover over the years. When you're in your 4th or 5th year of university, when you're trying to get that internship done, when you're trying to date that boyfriend you really love, how are you going to prioritize your schedule with making sure that the things that you have to be done by your portfolio to be done and try to implement change at the same time? How are you going to manage both?
Right off the bat, I actually will only have to take 3 classes a semester next year, so right off the bat, that is a huge difference of class time that I need to do. As well, this year I've already been doing stuff with Over the Edge and clubs and I am used to working with a very busy schedule. It's an area I actually thrive in, so I'm sure that I'd be able to balance it as best as possible. And if it costs me to go home at 8, 9 a night, so be it. And my question to you is, you did say talking about efficiency, but again, from a club standpoint, early this year, the whole clubs room discussion, I would argue, took probably far longer than it should. How do you answer that?
Okay, so as many of you, because I see a lot of familiar faces, our club members, our club presidents, our executive. The club's room situation was that in our policies, which was a very old policies, it stated a specific purpose for the club's room. So naturally, come September, you've been working by your own on your position all summer. You don't know whatever you're doing because nobody else knows. Because you only get 10 hours of session when you're transitioning into a new position. So my instinct was to pursue what the policy did, because we have policies and operations for a reason. So that's what happened. And then people weren't happy because the purpose of that room had changed over the years, and our policies weren't aligned with that. So that's one problem I identified. And the second is that that purpose had changed. So that's what we did. We hosted a town hall meeting. I've had very long discussion with clubs. I've accepted position with clubs, and we decided to move forward, as it was announced a couple of months ago, to go forward and change the club's room specific to policies to a multi-purpose room where people can store stuff and hold informal meetings. That's in the process of doing. It costs a lot of money to bring like 8 shelves into a room. We need to revamp the room. It's in the making. It's happening. There's another section here. What was the first part of the question? Yeah, problem solving takes some time.
Great, thanks guys. Now I'd like to open up the floor for questions. Is there anyone who'd like to ask a question? We can take up to 3. Look.
So in my experience with NUGSS, so I'm the president of the Graduate Student Society. I'm also active in one of the clubs on campus, an undergraduate club. Some of the things that have been coming up in the past semester have been about, it seemed from the club's perspective that NUGSS has been kind of trying to rein in clubs and kind of get things organized, I guess. Including with funding. And there's kind of language in the paperwork, I guess, that talks about certain clubs being under, what's the terminology that it uses? Good standing, advanced standing, and then there's one that's more negative, like in probation? Probation. Okay, so my question is, it's slightly different for the two of you because one is incumbent, one is new. As an incumbent, when you need to deal with clubs that may be probationary or may be struggling to get into a better standing, how do you communicate this to clubs? And I ask this under the condition that the clubs represent the diversity of this university. So we have First Nations, we have international students, we have people coming from a lot of different cultures. Do you take a direct approach with communication, or do you take a diplomatic approach with communicating? And for the new opponent, what I'd like to ask is, how would you propose these communications? There's been a little bit of struggle in the past. How would you propose improving this?
Very good question. Over the year, the way we operate to change club status has changed. It used to be senior and junior, and for the purpose of to make sure that clubs are treated equally for the amount of time they're invested. Last year it was decided to change from a good standing to advanced standing and probationary. The probationary club section is when clubs become new and they're still kind of in this transition period of getting organized. And so because we don't have a lot of experience dealing with them, and we don't know if people are serious or dedicated, because budget, finances is a part of it, and then representing the society is another section of it. So the both financial and social aspects are very different in the way we deal with club specific. And then, so that's taken into account, especially if we're dealing with a probationary club, a good club, or an advanced club, which have been established for 2 years, demonstrate high level of organization. So that's kind of the approach, why we approach certain situations. That's where you come from as a VP Student Affairs. And then circumstances, whether communication's been good or bad for X reasons. Diplomacy is very important, especially when you look at the diversity of the student we have in UNBC. But also, I think face-to-face is so much better than emails. I mean, I receive like 60 emails a day. I type fast. I'm a direct. English is my second language, so I use word by word. So in email way, I would take sometimes more strict or direct approach for efficiency and for getting the job done. But in person, anybody you ask, I'm a very approachable person. I try to have club as much as I can, and I try to improve relationship between clubs and NUGSS as a whole at all times. Thank you.
I'm going to start by saying I still find the probationary standing problematic because it makes it sound like the club did something wrong. But they haven't. It's just new, and the standings, it's mostly about numbers, just the numbers of who is coming regularly. So that's a standing that's actually relatively easy to get out of if you build it up. And all that would need is to have someone who is really open and can do meetings with new clubs and help them realize their potential and realize how they can move into different standings. So right there, just having someone there to discuss and to grow. And again, I have been involved with clubs for 4 years now. I've been a president for 2. I know how clubs work, and I could use that expertise to help other clubs advance as well.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? I'd just like to remind everyone to keep your questions and your answers as brief as possible, please.
Go. So this year,
Would you like a microphone?
No.
Okay.
This year you created a lot of events where you tried to bring club representatives together, dinners, or sorry, not dinners, small snacks, beverages, and I think that's actually a really great thing, and I appreciate that. However, some of them had not so much great success. A few people showed up. It's no fault in particular. How would you improve that? How would you improve the connection between the clubs?
Because of the stress on our agenda as a society, we had most of the year we didn't have a VP finance, we didn't have a VP social or a VP external. Also, there have been internal problems with the society. So this year in particular, it's been really hard. It's been so hard. And trying to get the job done as an executive, and then having additional work being put on your portfolio because of the missing other position, it's been kind of difficult. So I have been trying to do events with clubs. However, most of the time we partner. Like I partner with a lot of events with Student Life, and Student Life just comes to me a week before and they're like, hey, this is happening. Send it to clubs. Come with us. They're not trying to steal our show, but a little bit. So that's been difficult. However, if I'm reelected next year, I want to host more events that are student-focused and club-focused, like club orientation, or we can present the finding of our health plans and see where are our students spending money and where their health is going, because we should care about the students.
To actually go up with that, there was an event earlier, because clubs actually have a fantastic habit of self-regulating. We had a president's meeting. We tried to see if it would work and invited all the presidents of all the clubs to come after and chat. And that actually had about, I think, a good 20 people just showing up very quickly. So clubs do want to meet with each other, and that's actually where that idea from the calendar came from. It came from this president's meeting. So that's why it's directed in clubs. But what I would propose is, again, just to have every single week, book out the April Price boardroom for like 3 hours if you can, and just have a drop-in, drop-out period where clubs can come up and chat with like myself if I get invited, or others, just other clubs as well, because inter-club community is important. This year, the PSA actually partnered with clubs that they never thought they would partner with, and the events were quite successful, and I want that to continue for every club, because sometimes it's the surprising things that work really well.
Great, thanks. Actually, we're running a little long now, so in the interest of time, I'm going to move on to the next candidate. Thanks, guys. And I'd like to invite up Molly Ferdine, our next candidate for academic rep.
Okay, so I know we all have places we need to be, so I'm going to keep this short and sweet. For those of you who don't know, my name is Molly Ferdine, and I'm running as a candidate to be your next academic representative. I am a third-year political science student with a minor in human geography, but I did start out as a science student, so I feel like I have a very broad spectrum of opinion in my repertoire, so I know how hard it is to manage labs and all those sorts of things, but I also know how hard it is to write a 20-page paper. So, with that in mind, I also have the experience of being the VP internal for 2 years for the debate club. I've been on the board of directors for the Over the Edge newspaper, and I have also participated in the community doing things like coaching basketball and high school students. For those of you who don't know, academic representative is somebody who goes to important meetings for the university, so things like Senate, and we act as a voice for the students in these meetings as a voting member. And what this position requires is somebody who isn't afraid to voice opinion, who isn't afraid to address the actual problems. And for those of you who know me, you know I'm good at that. For those of you who don't know me, I promise to be good at that. So pretty much, as academic rep, I can't actually promise you things. I can't promise you a forum to make it easier for clubs to communicate, but I can promise you that I would be good at my job if I got elected. So pretty much that's all I have to say. If any of you have questions, fly out.
Does anyone have a question for Molly? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next candidate. Thank you very much, Molly. I'd like to invite up Sean Caldera, who's our candidate for VP Social.
Thanks, Joe. How's everybody doing today? Come on! How's everyone doing? It's like, yeah. So I'm Sean. I'm your VP Social. I'm running for prospective VP Social next year. Currently I'm VP Social, and I love every bit of it. Things I've come into it knowing. I've learned how to be a good part of NUGSS, learned about this amazing family, this team that we have, about the amazing events we can put on. I've learned coming in with the by-election late last semester. It's a little bit tricky to kind of surf that, but with the team support and with everything that past VP Socials have done, it can get real easy to take a look at that portfolio and take a look at events that would boost that community vibe and keep that community excited and thriving with the events we have. One of my goals, though, for being VP Social is to have that all ages kind of thing. Because I've heard a lot of feedback from people saying, you guys just do pub events. Like, I don't want NUGSS just to be known as the pub event undergraduate student society, right? Undergraduates means everybody, right? So already I've been taking steps to make all-inclusive events such as an upcoming NERF event that's happening pretty soon, and that we just recently got Risk and Safety Management to give us a thumbs up for that. So, woo! Starting to bloom around everywhere. Also, some big changes I would like to make too is with the EPC, a little committee that I'd like to have lots more student feedback on what kind of events we want to have around here on campus and what people are interested in. And one big major third thing is I want to have a lot more promotion, not just with posters and stuff, but through smart devices such as smartphones, iPhones, all that through specific apps. So I've been looking at this past semester, researching on how I can better create an app that's better, more suited to a community, so we can get the whole ball rolling, full circle, to make these events more suited towards everybody on campus and to have more of your say. And that's my goal as your VP Social. Thanks.
Thank you, Sean. For just a sec. Anybody have any questions for Sean? Seeing none?
I'll get one.
Sean? Oh, we do have one.
What challenges have you faced within the last 4 months being VP Social that you think will help you in the future with this position?
Thanks for the question, Mike. Definitely personal challenges is time management. I mean, hey, it's a hectic schedule being a student and all, and given this duty and this responsibility, right? It's something to take on. I mean, regardless of whatever position we get. And definitely that personal thing of allocating time. Okay, do I head to the office? Should I get some studying done? You know, what do I do now? Do I actually give some time for myself? And just making sure I fulfill all that as me, so I can be the best person in this position, developing into a better person every time, right? Other challenges have been, you know, communicating within what to the public, like what I need to do, right? Like, if an event's coming up, like, okay, maybe I should let promotion be a little bit earlier than this, or how can we be more direct with this promotion? Communicating with other team members, such as the associate directors who work for the events, for events with me. So that was also a challenge that I kind of got a grasp on, and I'm feeling pretty good about that too. Other than that, no other challenges that come to mind. I mean, I felt pretty smooth about this. Felt pretty great. Any other questions? No? Thanks.
Great, thank you, Sean. All right, moving on. I'd like to invite our candidate for Associate Director of Events, Mark Monroe, to come up.
Hey everyone, my name is Mark Monroe. I'm running for Associate Director of Events. I grew up in McBride, BC. It's about 2.5 hours, sort of east of here, small town, about 600 people. This is my second year at UBC. The past year, I was your Associate Director of Events, so I'm running for re-election. I'm running unopposed, so I guess I'm not really here to convince you to vote for me, but I'm here to make a commitment to you, and that's that, you know, I'll be a good representative. I'll work hard. I'll be committed. I'll be there to take your input, and I want to see more student involvement in events. I think we can do a better job of promoting them over the next year. I'd also advocate for board reform. It's something that's been discussed quite a lot, and I think it's something that the students as a whole would support, and I would definitely advocate for a lot of student input before any decisions were made on that, on anything like that. And also, another thing I'd advocate, I'm an accounting major, a business student here. I'd like to see NUGSS open books more than we have. I think that accountability is really critical to having a responsible student society that best represents students. So I guess that's my platform. I hope you all have a good day. Respect me. It's really exciting. Good luck to everyone else. And
Does anybody have a question for Mark? Not hearing any? Thank you very much, Mark. Moving right along here, I'd like to invite up our candidate for sustainability rep, Michael Watson.
Hey everybody, thanks for coming out. I would like to firstly acknowledge the traditional territory of the Lake Lake today. And I would also like to thank all the other board members that we had past year. We had to overcome some challenges and face some adversity, so thank you very much. A bit about me, I'm in forestry. I'm currently the sustainability representative running again. I've been the past president of SGU, and I'm currently the environmental responsibility director for IFSA, UNBC community. Some things that I would like to see next year, I think it is important. We have a lot of student leaders in sustainability and green initiatives that are leaving, such as Campbell and Minetta. So I think it is important for the new, the upcoming community that there's a bit of a leadership role, so I can help teach them and mentor them to finish some of the projects that we've been doing, such as the dome greenhouse and the challenges that face the UFM for the upcoming year. One thing that I would like to do is do a waste audit on the Moose, so that should be done in the fall with hopefully an intern sponsored through the Green University Center. And there's a bunch of other things to be done, which we will let you know in the future. The end. Is there any questions that anybody would like to ask? Except Reverend.
Maybe some people aren't too sure about what does NUGSS do for the environment. So can you maybe list some of the items that NUGSS do to promote sustainability on campus?
To promote sustainability. Well, that is an interesting question because, in my opinion, it is happening everywhere all the time. NUGSS in general, we have designated our office as one of the bottled water free zones. So one campaign that has been going around with SGU is to get different offices around the school to support this, such as using taps or having a water bottle cooler where there's less waste. We also have changed the Moose over all the LED, or all the lighting is now LED. I do want to do the waste out on the Moose so that when there is new infrastructure on campus to compost, that we'll be able to pretty much compost all the waste that's coming from these facilities. Is there any other questions that you would like to ask? Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Now for our final candidate, I'd like to invite Mia Pupic, who's our candidate for women's rep.
Hi there, my name is Mia, and I've been volunteering with the Women's Center since September 2011. I'm really passionate about encouraging and supporting women in achieving their goals and aspirations. I have seen that there are many issues still out there that many women have encountered. These issues and influences need to be brought out into the open surrounding the women in society at large, as well on our campus. In the role of Women's Rep, my main focus for the year 2014-2015 would be to run educational events and safety awareness programs for all genders. I feel that it is extremely important for students of UNBC to have more knowledge about women's issues, which mostly go unnoticed on campus. In regards to the latter, this year, myself along with the Northern Women's Center conducted some interviews which indicated there are unsafe spaces on campus that pose a risk of unwanted interaction between individuals, including sexual harassment, for example. The goal is to raise awareness about these issues happening in society and at UNBC, including violence against women, the similarities between healthy and unhealthy relationships, the effects of eating disorders on all genders, the influences of media on women, women's health, and continuing the masculinity discussion group meetings. I hope that you will join me in supporting women this year at UNBC and come out to the events and sessions that I hope to have a chance to run if you vote for me. We all need to work together and encourage one another to accomplish our dreams and aspirations. And this relates to all women who need the support in fulfilling their dreams and aspirations in whatever they hope to become. This year, being the women's rep, I have learned a considerable amount of information in terms of changes that my peers want to see happen. And I hope that you all give me the chance to focus on these issues. Thank you all for coming out today to hear my speech. Please feel free to introduce yourself when you see me around campus, and I'm so sorry this thing kept on dying. I'm Mia, and vote on Monday and Tuesday. Cheers. Any questions? Sure thing, Amaryllis. Hop on up.
My question is, like, a lot of your work has been done through the Northern Women's Center. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm bad with acronyms. I was wondering, how are you planning, or how have you in the past been able to outreach with women on campus that don't use the services that are provided by the Northern Women's Center?
Well, for example, we're running an informational night in March. It's on STD information, and that's open for all genders. We also run Jezebel's Jam and the Eco Fashion Show, which is also open to all genders. So people who aren't comfortable coming into the Women's Center, they have every opportunity, because we run a lot of events, and also I do volunteer with the events at NUGSS to be more approachable and for the students to be able to get a chance to meet me and all that. Yeah, cool.
Hi, this is actually a question that's not from me, but from my friend Leila who's actually in my rep right now. But she had this concern last year, and I think that many people might have this concern as well. What do you think you would do, or even the Women's Center would do at all, when it comes to concerning the problems that many males on campus have? And do you think that it's biased that you're serving towards one gender against the other?
A lot of the times, people think that the Women's Center does not allow men to join or be an ally with us. So what we do is we run masculinity discussion group meetings, so we want to know what men want and what they're going through, as well as we encourage men to take part in volunteering and things like that. So we've always supported UNBC to open up a men's center. It's just nobody's taken the initiative. So we've always been there supporting everyone that is outside of the Women's Center, or that does not identify as female. Does that answer your question? Sure thing.
And the reason I bring that up is because people like my friend Layla will specifically not go to the Women's Center because she thinks it's gender biased. So I think that maybe that's something that you and the center should know about, and just maybe make it a little bit more obvious that, you know, it's a multi-gender center.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for that. I'm going to keep that in mind, and then for next year. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? No? Okay. Thank you all for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you everyone for staying and listening to speeches. That concludes it for the day. Thank you very much. Don't forget to vote on March 3rd and 4th. And also tomorrow there's the Over the Edge AGM if anyone would like to attend.